How am I supposed to make the transition from a lifetime of abstinence to marriage if the church has taught me to be afraid of sex my entire life?
Yeah, this is another question that breaks my heart too.
Mm-hmm.
One that's way too common. I think, especially as I've entered into marriage and have just dialogued with a lot of my other friends that are recently married. This is something that's really normal and common, because the church will often just tell us this sex is bad, don't do it until you're married, but then doesn't go deep on the theology of sex and what it is and why it's so beautiful and why we save it for marriage. Ultimately, we need to be able to reshape our theology of sex and why God has designed it, which is to ultimately, my belief is that it's reflection of the intimacy that he has with us. It's a form of intimacy, the oneness there. And that's what is so big and so beautiful. And that's why we save it, especially for just one person.
Mm-hmm.
And so ways to kind of transition and to like into that is to one, know that it takes time, it takes practice. The sexual relationship and sexual intimacy is just like any other part of your relationship, like communication, or doing chores properly. It takes time to know how we are and what the other person's like too. And so it takes time to build that. And then two, to know that, again, this is normal, and that you really work on and push into your theology of sex, right? Develop your own theology of sex. This is really common for a lot of people that are first getting married, especially young. We're doing this in a lot of other parts of our lives too, really understanding what we believe and what the church taught us, and really developing our own theological foundations with the help of those around us. So bring in those that we care about, and that we truly trust, and ask them these questions. Okay, what does this look like? Dialogue about it with your spouse. Be open and honest, saying, hey, this is still really scary for me. I encourage those that I do sex therapy with is to not play through pain, whether that's physical or emotional pain. Just like when we're on a sports team, we don't want to play through injuries because it's only going to make it worse. We need to be able to tell those that are on the sidelines or those that we're with, saying, hey, this really hurts and this is why. And that allows them to come in and give you the care that that you need. Lastly, is the best resource that I have found for this is The Celebration of Sex by Dr. Douglas Rosenow. He's a pioneer. He's a seminary graduate and a pioneer in the sex therapy realm, Christian sex therapy, and does a beautiful job of showing how God has designed sex, how God wants us to be able to enjoy it, and then also gives really good practical steps on how to enjoy it in ways that we can.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard answering these questions because anytime I'm asking these questions, like I get more questions in my head. Like what is the church teaching?
Yeah,
Like that's not God's design for you to be afraid.
Yeah, it's not. And I think it goes back to when I look upon my own life, and then just also the lives of the clients that I've worked with, is there was a lot of fear around the topic, that we're going to tell our little kids all of this and they're going to go out and do it. However, as I look about being a father soon, I want my kids to be able to know what it is and be able to really understand like the discipline that comes with it, because this is a gift that God gives us to steward.
Right.
It's beautiful. And there's a lot of responsibility with it. And I think some the church can be really scared that they're going to upset people, and say, nope, just don't do it. And then you'll figure out when you're older. However, that causes us to seek. We still are curious by nature, especially when we're growing up, to figure things out. And that leads us to poor sources, whether that's our friends on the bus, our friends at school, or the internet, which is the worst place to learn about what sex is. So we need to be able to create that safety. Again, the theme, the unexpected theme of this episode is safety in relationships.
Mhm.
And being able to create that safety of knowing we can talk about anything. I'm not going to shame you. And we have this space where you can learn and grow. And
Yeah.
whether that's at home or at the church.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think the church has had a tendency of be afraid and we're never going to talk about this again, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's been good. Tell me the name of that book one more time you were talking about, The Theology of Sex.
Yeah, so it's called The Celebration of Sex by Dr. Douglas Rosenow.
Okay. All right, that's good.